But now it's time for a little surprise. My mini potato chocolate cupcakes are just adorable, and they're a snap to make. I've got a 1/4 cup of butter, and I'm going to add to that 1/3 cup of sugar. The recipe makes 30 miniature cupcakes, so really it's a small batch of batter. You can do it simply by hand. Just cream these together. So now I can add an egg and a teaspoon of vanilla. This particular chocolate cupcake is a lighter style than that dense truffle style cake that I made using the beets. Now that that's blended, I can prepare the potatoes. I have some cooked russet potatoes. Now, russet potatoes are also known as baker's potatoes. They're ideal for mashing. I'm going to use, to mash them, a ricer. This is a fantastic tool. It's sort of like a potato press, and it's got holes at the bottom. Push through the potatoes, take a knife to scrape off the excess, and then continue with the rest of the potatoes. So you can see how fluffy these are now, but I want to pack the potato into a 1/4 cup measure. And then tip that out. And at the same time, I'll add 3 tablespoons of milk. What the potato lends to the cupcake is a creamy texture, but also a tenderness too, because a potato has starch. All right, now that that's blended, I can sift my dry ingredients. 2/3 cup of all-purpose flour, 3/4 teaspoon of baking powder, just a pinch of salt, and then, of course, for the chocolate component, 3 tablespoons of cocoa powder. Here we go. Give this a little sift, and then I just have to stir until the batter comes together. Batter's ready. I've got my mini muffin tins lined with paper liners. To make filling the cupcakes easier, I'll put the batter in a piping bag. I don't want to overfill the cupcake liners with cake batter. Only about a tablespoon is needed. So these are ready for the oven. I've preheated it to 375, and because they're so small, they only take 12 minutes to bake. Beautiful. Now for this fluffier style of vegetable cake, I just press the tops of the cupcakes. When it springs back, then I know they're done. I have some I've already made and let cool completely to room temperature. Now to make the Ganache Glaze to pour on top. I've got 1/2 cup of whipping cream here. I'm just gonna make sure it comes to a full simmer. I'll pour the cream over a tablespoon of butter that's resting on 4 ounces of dark chocolate. Now this is a baking chocolate, not chocolate chips. I'll just give that a stir to melt the chocolate and the butter. It's very rich, so only a thin layer is needed on top of each cupcake. I find it easiest just to use a teaspoon and pour a little of the ganache right from the center of the cupcake, and you can spread it to the outside edges. Just try and take care that it doesn't spill over the edges of the foil liner. While the ganache is still warm, it's a nice opportunity to add a little garnish. In this case, I have some nice diced candied ginger. I'll just put a single piece on each. I like to use a skewer to pop them out. Isn't that just the cutest thing? And now that you've mastered baking with vegetables, from casual cakes to elegant desserts, you can take all these tips to your own kitchen to bake and enjoy.